Memphis Grizzlies set the price tag for Ja Morant. Jonathan Kuminga may not be moving after all the speculation. The Knicks are plotting, and Giannis and the Bucks are not planning on shutting him down. But what does that mean? We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host there, Haize. But more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bull Central, at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And as we've been covering, because it is the biggest story right now around the NBA, everybody's wondering what the movement's going to look like around the NBA. And we got a couple of things that have been set here that we'll talk about. One being that we'll start off with this one is that Tari Eason is apparently not available in trade talks with the Houston Rockets. There had been some speculation on if Tari Eason was going to be available or not in the Rockets' search for maybe finding a point guard or some other things. It's mainly just point guard we're looking at for the Houston Rockets. But according to Mark Stein, Tari Eason is off the table. He's not involved in any trade talks. They are not considering moving him at all. And I think when you look at the Rockets and where they are, like, they want to, and even in the Kevin Durant trade, they maintained basically all of their youth pieces. That is something that they are focused on keeping. And Tari Eason, while not a huge offensive threat, he still is a nice defensive weapon. He still puts up double-digit points per game. He's an efficient shooter from the field. He's having a career best year from three as well, shooting 46% from three, taking 4.6 shots per game. So it's not like it's just a small sample size either. Tari Eason is only 24 years old. He's a versatile, switchable defender that can guard multiple positions. He can start for them at times when he needs to as well. Started 10 games so far this season. The most games he's ever started in his career is 16 in the season. He's on pace to maybe break that at some point this year. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline. But if the Houston Rockets do make a move and a swing for a point guard, Tari Eason is not going to be the bait that they use to get that done. It's just not going to be. And so, he is in his fourth year. He's a restricted free agent at the end of the year, but reportedly he is completely off target for anybody who is calling on him. And again, that comes from Mark Stein. So do not expect Tari Eason to be one of the names that's moved here at the trade deadline. And some Houston Rockets fans have already been saying and been very loud that he's probably not going to be the one to be moved. The Rockets are looking, especially with their cap situation, they're looking to add very effective money to their team, right? So they're not trying to break the bank at all. They're not going to trade for a player on an $18 million contract or anything, but they can only avoid the tough decisions so long can the Houston Rockets in regards to their cap situation. You got Tari Eason, who's a restricted free agent, right? And we already know in restricted free agency, it's very hard to move a player in a sign-and trade. So if they're not looking to move him now, that means that there's probably a better chance than not they plan on actually re-signing him to a long-term deal. It doesn't mean he can't be moved once he's on that long-term deal, but it probably does point to the case that they're going to try to keep him long-term, at least sign him to a long-term contract. And so when you look at the Rockets cap situation right now, they are $1.2 million beneath the first tax apron, $13 million beneath the second tax apron. And they maintain that. Next year, they're slated to be 25 below the first apron, 38 below the second apron. So when you look at the number of unrestricted free agents that they have, Jae'Sean Tate, Josh Okogie, Aaron Holiday, Jeff Green, those are unrestricted free agents that they have. Tari Eason is going to be a restricted free agent. They don't have a lot of tough decisions to make. You re-sign Tari Eason, we'll see what that money ends up being like. And then you have your mid-level exception, you have some other things. The bigger question becomes about Fred VanVleet and his contract next year, which is a team option, if I'm not mistaken, for the next season. That's where things can get a little bit, it's a player option for next year at $25 million, and Fred VanVleet is probably going to pick that up. So if they do want to make some wiggle move, Clint Capella may have to be one of the moves that they do. Maybe even Reed Shepherd, who's actually playing pretty good this year. We'll see. I'm not saying that for sure. Steven Adams at $13 million, but he's important to their culture. So at some point, the Rockets are going to have to do something wise, unless they just feel very confident that Fred VanVleet is going to be everything that they need next year. Health isn't going to be a concern. And then they feel like, hey, that's probably why they don't want to give up any long-term players or options in this case, because hey, they feel like the point guard that they have is already on their roster. The point guard that they need is already on the roster. He's just hurt. So we'll see how that works out for this Houston Rockets team. But Tari Eason, for all intents and purposes, according to Mark Stein and his sources, Tari Eason is off the board in any trade talks that the Houston Rockets could potentially have leading into the February 5th trade deadline. Does it end up being the case and being true? I guess we'll see in that case. We'll see what happens with Tari Eason. Let me know down below. Do you think that the Rockets are right for holding on from Tari Eason? And do you look at this like me and hearing that he's off target for any player? Does that mean that they plan on re-signing him, whatever it takes in restricted free agency? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. One of the most talked about players, basically since the offseason began last year, free agency because he was restricted free agent, has been Jonathan Kuminga and what the Warriors plan on doing with Jonathan Kuminga. Well, according to sources now, Jonathan Kuminga is not expected to be moved at all due to the injury to Jimmy Butler, saying this. Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors appear poised for a resolution to their long-standing mutual desire to part ways by the deadline, but multiple team sources told ESPN that it's now less likely he is traded following season-ending ACL tear by Jimmy Butler. Kuminga was out of the Warriors rotation prior to Butler's injury despite his $22.5 million salary. Kuminga was reinserted into the lineup following Butler's injury and produced individual scoring before he hyperextended his left knee last Thursday. Kuminga could return before the deadline and receive rotation minutes before the Warriors make a decision on whether the situation will drag out until the offseason. Kuminga could remain part of the Warriors' regular rotation for the remainder of the season if he remains on the roster. I think that last part is the key. The Warriors realized that they fucked up Jonathan Kuminga's trade value. Just period. They fucked it up. Now, of course, teams like the Kings or whatever, but they're trying to buy low in regards to Jonathan Kuminga. If Kuminga comes back, and we've already seen him look pretty good in the 2 games that he's played, one only partial game since Jimmy Butler went down, but if he comes back and he finishes this season strong, you could increase his trade value leading into next offseason. He could be moved as soon as the draft. That may be the best use of the asset here for the Golden State Warriors. It's clear. Steve Kerr doesn't believe in him. It's clear all these things are there. We'll see what the future holds for Steve Kerr in regards to that. Right now, he has no firm deal in place. But Jonathan Kuminga is such an interesting case because this continues to drag on. 20 points he scored on only 10 shots in his first game after Jimmy Butler went down. He then, in the second game, only played 9 minutes, was 3-3 and scored 10 points, 2 assists, 2 steals in that time. Kuminga, if he comes back and he continues the season and finishes the season strong, there's going to be more callers for him in the offseason. Now, you do lose some flexibility as well there because, part of the reason, and we've seen this, teams don't necessarily value expiring contracts as much as they used to. And part of the interest was the fact that he did have a team option in the last year of that deal. They're probably going to have to guarantee that to even move him this offseason. So the flexibility could be messed with a little bit, but if he finishes this season strong, there's probably no doubt that teams are going to be interested in Jonathan Kuminga. It's just to what degree. And what the Warriors are hoping here is that because now they have to play him, that's going to increase his value enough to where they feel better about a potential return for Jonathan Kuminga as they weren't happy with the returns that they were getting beforehand. So that's what it comes down to. The Kings have still been one of the most boisterous teams about having interest in Jonathan Kuminga, right? But recently we heard that there's no real traction between the Kings and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State does not want the multi-year deal of Malik Monk. They don't want DeMar DeRozan, a player that I had speculated, could go to the Golden State Warriors. But it seems like right now the Warriors they prefer expiring contracts and a smaller scale deal when it comes down to, because again, they're looking at their window being this next stretch here where they have They have Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph still under contract, and that's what they have to work with basically. So we'll see. Is Jonathan Kuminga eventually moved? We shall see if that happens. But if the Warriors are playing this, they'll feature Jonathan Kuminga for the rest of the way and then hope that is enough to increase his value in the offseason. It sucks that they had an opportunity to try to increase his value leading to the trade deadline, but with him and the hyperextension of his knee, that basically removed all cases of that or chances of that, and now we sit where we do. But let me know what you guys think down below on that one. Now, there's been back and forth in regards to what's going on with Ja and the Memphis Grizzlies. According to Mark Stein again, the Memphis Grizzlies are looking for at least 1 first-round pick back in exchange for Ja Morant. He did add as well that the Pelicans, who have been mentioned as a potential landing spot, are not interested in trading for Ja Morant. Morant was recently returned from a calf injury and currently out for 3 weeks with a sprained elbow. Morant will remain sidelined past the February 5th trade deadline. Also, Mark Stein goes on to say that the trade market for Morant is very limited due to a lack of teams with genuine interest in adding the star guard. So Ja is I hate that we're here with Ja Morant, right? It's just been over the last 3 or 4 years. It's just been a steady, this was a Memphis Grizzlies team that was once looked at as a team that was up and coming, that was expected to compete in the West every single year. People were having conversations on if Ja Morant could eventually develop to be the face of the league, right? It was like him and Anthony Edwards were the players that were talked about. And now we're sitting in a place where the Memphis Grizzlies are looking for a lowly first-round pick to get back for that. Listen, the fall from grace has been evident on the basketball court, and now it's even evident off the basketball court for Ja Morant. But with all that said, all the narrative around it, let's remove that narrative and just talk about the facts of Ja Morant. Ja is still a very, very talented player. He still has tons of potential to do if he gets back and I think gets in the right situation with the right coach. That's why I was so in on him potentially getting traded to the Miami Heat. I think that's the right culture that would get him to just focus in on what he needs to do and just be a great basketball player. But there's still tons of talent left with Ja. Ja is still a very talented player, still very young as well. And I just hate that we've gotten to this point. And let me be clear. No, not playing a violin for him. A lot of it's due to his own doing. The initial downfall is due to his own doing. Not the health thing. No player wants to be injured, but a lot of this is due to Ja, and that's something that he's going to have to live with. But at 26 years old, as a player that can still average over 20 per game, a player that can still be towards the top of the league in assists per game as well, this is still a guy that can help teams win basketball games. Just period, point blank. But you got to ask yourself, is the potential of the off-the-court drama things that are turning teams away from Ja Morant? And I won't be remiss and act like it's not. It has to be, right? So we'll see what the future holds for Ja, but a first-round pick back is something, if they can't even get that, then it does not bode well for the future of the way that Ja Morant is viewed. He's going to have to do a lot of changing his image, changing those type of things to put himself in a better position, because this is a talented basketball player, I think. And sometimes, though, just goes to show talent isn't the end-all, be-all, especially in the league where you're getting paid, second tax aprons exist, and teams got to be very conscious of how they spend their money. And that's where Ja is right now. But let me know what you guys think on that one down below. Reportedly, also coming from Mark Stein, is that the Knicks are interested in Jrue Holiday and have gauged the market for Karl-Anthony Towns, saying this. The New York Knicks are interested in acquiring Jrue Holiday from the Portland Trail Blazers, according to Mark Stein of the Stein Line. Holiday, who is in the second year of a 4-year, $134 million contract, has appeared in 18 games this season. The Knicks are interested in pairing Holiday with Jalen Brunson in the backcourt, along with the potential that adding Holiday would make the team even more attractive to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Teams around the league also believe the Knicks are open to some degree in trading Karl-Anthony Towns. The Knicks have reportedly gauged teams for Towns' value on the trade market, despite denying that they've held discussions involving the center. I mean, the New York Knicks are always going to go star hunting. Adding Jrue Holiday, it would be interesting, right? Of course, the Knicks could make smaller moves. They're looking to move Gershon Yabusile's contract, which is $5.5 million. Acquiring Jrue Holiday would be a pretty big test for them. Now, the Portland Trail Blazers, they're actually trying to win basketball games. So I don't think they're just going to give them away unless the cap relief is the thing that they're looking for. But we'll see. The Knicks are a team to watch, because if the Knicks do decide to do something crazy and trade Karl-Anthony Towns, which if they're waiting for Giannis, the potential of Giannis coming on the market, they're probably going to want to hold on to that. That could be a very big trade chip in that case. But adding Jrue Holiday, pairing him in the backcourt with Jalen Brunson, who gets absolutely exposed on defense, something that makes sense for the New York Knicks team. We just got to see how they're going to go out and do it. James Dolan, he said he ruled out making major moves before, but we'll see what's going to happen here for this New York Knicks team, as they are always a team that are mentioned for that. Last topic of the day before we get out of here, the Bucks reportedly have not considered shutting down Giannis Antetokounmpo, according to ESPN. Doc Rivers saying that has not been a conversation at all up until this point. And here's what I'm going to say to that. They don't have to. If he's out 4 to 6 weeks, the Milwaukee Bucks are cooked. By the time he comes back, they're cooked. They're done. So while they may not be thinking about shutting down Giannis Antetokounmpo, if he's out 6 weeks, we're talking about mid-March where he's back. And I hate to tell y'all, but if that happens, there's not a lot of season left to be played. And with the way the Milwaukee Bucks have played this season, even with Giannis, I don't think they're going to be really in a position to even make it out the play or make the play-in or anything by that time anyway. So while we heard that initially they could want Giannis to agree to tank and be okay with that so that they can get the talent, they may not even need that to happen here. I want to be very clear on that one. And that's what we got to see is going to happen with this Milwaukee Bucks team. But I would not be surprised if the Bucks season is completely cooked before we even have a chance to get Giannis Antetokounmpo back in here. But I could be wrong on that. Let me know how you guys feel on that and all the topics down below. That's going to do it for me on today's episode of NBA Central. Thank you guys for the growth of the channel. I want to be very clear here. The growth of this channel recently has been nothing but because of you guys. It's not something that I feel that I take for granted. I love it. I love doing this and to have a channel like this that I get to talk general NBA, not stuck to just one thing, and have the support. I appreciate you guys so much, man. So if you guys love NBA breakdowns with all the fluff, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well, turn on those notifications. The trade deadline is about to explode, and we're going to be here to cover it like none other. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. And I'll catch you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.